Joining us right now on the Daily Dose, we are actually kind of doing this live because we are bringing back some friends of the Dose to recap Super Bowl 56. The game literally just ended. We are going to take a brief look at the game, maybe what could be coming next year. You never know. We might play a little bit of trivia today on the Dose as well and test our esteemed panel. First up, we have Big Rob, West Virginia Mountaineer and Philadelphia Eagles fan, who is the sitting president of the Daily Dose I-Team. Welcome back, Big Rob, to the Dose.
Hello. Good to be here.
Mike from Castle Rock has joined us a number of times. Mike has talked a number of things sports, big Denver Bronco fan. We are hoping to maybe figure some things out here in Bronco land, but Mike is joining us as well. Welcome back to Mike.
Appreciate being here. It's always fun. I enjoy doing these.
Now, I got to tell everyone, we were supposed to be joined by Larry in Centennial, but Larry went to a ski event in Utah and I don't know, may or may not have been molested by a moose. So he missed the game. He's missing the Zoom call. He's probably going to be in therapy for a number of years to come, but Larry is unable to join the Dose tonight. We'll have to catch up with him and find out about his travails at a later time. Gentlemen, the 2021 NFL season is now complete. Super Bowl 56 literally just ended, and we're jumping on this. It was an incredible NFL season, but the season is over. And, you know, for all the flaws that this league might have, this is one of the most entertaining seasons that I can remember. Close games, comebacks, upsets, surprises. And with all of the wild games we saw all year, why should Super Bowl 56 be any different? The Los Angeles Rams have to come from behind and then get a late stop against that upset-minded Cincinnati Bengals team. They win Super Bowl 56, 23-20. But this game was just kind of fading to me for this entire season. It wasn't what we expected, and it came down to the final second. We'll dig down and kind of look at the game, you know, specifically. But what stood out to you the most about Super Bowl 56, Rob?
I just think the game itself, I said, back and forth, kind of started out early and you thought it was going to go one way and then a complete shift in the middle. And then all of the fourth quarter, it was just kind of, you know, it could go either way. You didn't know what was going to happen. No, you didn't.
Mike, what did you see in this Super Bowl as well?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I mean, it was a good, entertaining game based on this postseason this year. You wouldn't expect anything less for it to come down to the last play. Once you got beyond that horrible first weekend of the playoffs, every game in the postseason beyond that was great.
Yep. Yes, it was.
Did I want the Bengals to go down and kick a field goal and put in overtime? Absolutely.
I did too.
But good, very good game.
Now I got to ask you both, because a lot of years we get together. We didn't happen to do it this year. It's kind of just busy this time of year, but life is kind of getting a little more back to normal. Super Bowl parties. Did either of you go to Super Bowl parties? I know we had a few of my daughter's teenage friends over. It was very interesting to get a teenage perspective on the game, but Super Bowl parties for either one of you?
No, not really. I mean, just a couple people over, you know, my daughter and her boyfriend, and really about it. Nothing major.
Rob, what about you?
Same for me. No big party. Just kind of watching the game.
Here's the biggest question. Super Bowl food for the Super Bowl. What did you have? I know here I had wings. We had some jalapeno poppers. We had some fries. It was Super Bowl. It was nachos. It was that kind of a day. How about Super Bowl food? Mike, what were you having down at your place?
Oh, pretty typical. You know, you can't have a Super Bowl without the spicy queso.
Yes.
That's a staple. You know, I had some chicken tacos and homemade margaritas, of course. Pretty typical stuff. A lot of good stuff.
Rob, what about you? Anything good on the menu for the Super Bowl?
It was the usual standard Sunday, pizza and wings. That's
okay.
Every Sunday for me, though.
Let's jump into this game. And, you know, one thing that didn't get a whole lot of attention, Sarah Thomas becomes the first female official to work a Super Bowl. Rob, what did she screw up? It was a reasonably good officiated game. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but I thought the officials on the whole, they kind of let them play. Not a lot of ticky-tack calls. Like we said, a little bit calls late, but, you know, could kind of go either way. And I thought the officiating crew actually did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, there was the Jalen Ramsey kind of
The
hold missed call,
yeah,
but then
call.
the Cooper Kupp kind of, did he really grab him? So I think those two evened out. Those were the two that stood out for me, but you could say that they kind of evened themselves out.
Yeah, Mike, what'd you think of the officiating? I thought they did a pretty good job, actually.
Overall, yeah. I mean, there weren't a lot of penalties called. It's
right
till the end there a little bit. There was the probable missed call on the long touchdown pass, and maybe made up for it at the end. Or those counteract? I don't know. Overall, it was good.
Rams
not the main story, I guess.
Correct. And that's exactly what I was hoping for. That's exactly what I'm happy about. The officiating will not be the story. The Rams jumped on top early, 13-3 on 2 Matt Stafford touchdowns. But then and honestly, when I'm watching that part early, I was thinking this is going to be a blowout. The Rams are going to roll. This is going to be easy. Then the Bengals kind of settled down. They had a little bit of success. They started running the ball a little bit. They began to generate some yardage. And on the other side, they really shut down the Rams run game. And I thought that's what kept the Bengals in it. Early on, I know that the Rams were leading, but it felt close because the Bengals started to control some things up front. A major moment in the first half took place in the second quarter with the Rams leading 13-10. Rams wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. goes down with a knee injury. He did not return. And you could tell that did change the game, because the Rams now are a weapon short. You could see the Bengals are going, hey, now we can kind of just focus on Cooper Kupp. It definitely felt like that was a major turning point in the game. Mike, did you see the Beckham injury turning kind of the momentum, I guess, a little bit?
Maybe a little. I mean, it's funny until the very end. And if the Bengals were possibly going to win, I was prepared to come on here talking about the one aspect of the game that nobody was talking about, and that was the Bengals defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you hold a team in the Super Bowl to 2 yards per carry rushing. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, very.
And, I don't know. I don't know. Was it a factor? Yes. Was it an absolute turning point? I don't know if it was the turning point in the game.
Yeah, I don't know that it completely turned the game. I think it probably tweaked it a little bit. We go into halftime. The Rams are up 13-10 at half. And it honestly, Rob, at least to me, it felt like it's anybody's game going into halftime. It didn't, the blowout had kind of been averted. The Bengals had kind of answered the bell and come back a little bit. Now it's tight. Now it's a field goal. It felt at halftime, hey, I don't know which way this game's going to go.
Yeah, I would agree. It was the same for me. And especially like you mentioned, because of the run, because the Rams could not run the ball at all. And you knew if that carried over into the second half, that's what was going to keep it tight.
For sure. And them controlling the run, they weren't able to run the ball much themselves, but them stopping that Rams run game really, really did change it. Okay, we've got to talk about this. I am not Super Bowl halftime show guy. That's just not me. Mm-hmm. But a pretty solid show. Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige put on a solid show. One of the better shows, honestly, that I've probably seen lately. Like I said, I am not Super Bowl halftime show guy. I usually go get something to eat or drink at halftime. But was this better than The Weeknd getting lost in that weird maze last year? Yes, it was. Was it better than Michael Jackson singing with children? Maybe. Was it better than Prince performing the right? I don't know. But I thought this was a pretty good halftime show. Mike, what did you make of the halftime show? Did you enjoy it? You're down out in the country there, I can see.
No, right. No, I did. You see a lot of people posting, oh, best ever, but there's people that post that after every halftime show. So
True.
Everybody's got their own opinions on it. I did enjoy it. I liked it. It's one that after the show, I didn't think, well, there goes 20 minutes of my life.
No. You're exactly right. It felt like kind of a good, tight show that you could tell was well orchestrated. Rob, what did you think of the show? Did you like halftime? Are you rating it up there in the top halftime shows ever?
I wouldn't say top ever, but it was good. I enjoyed it. Better than last year. It wasn't
for sure.
J-Lo and Shakira though.
No.
Yeah,
we got to keep
that level. but it was good. I did enjoy it. Like I said, I'm not sure how Mary J. Blige kind of fit in. That didn't all seem to go together to me. But overall, good show. Lots going on. Nobody slipped up and cussed, which I thought was going to happen a couple times.
Or at least if they did, the censors got to it before it got to us.
How appropriate was it though that 50 Cent played after 2 quarters?
Good call. Nicely done. I like that. Hey, he looked more like 250 Cent to me.
Yeah.
He's a big boy. My only question, bigger, him or Mary J? Because they're both
talking upper body or thighs.
I was going just kind of mid area right there. Yeah. That's a heavyweight fight.
Her thighs are for real. So yeah, he might have her on the upper body. I don't know. It's could be interesting.
He might. Anybody else besides me a little bit disappointed that we didn't get kind of a Tupac hologram, because I was fully expecting it.
Me too. I thought it was coming. I
did too. In fact, when they started to fade out, they showed like kind of something on the roof, and I was like, "Oh, here it is. It's coming. They're still going to get him in there." They didn't do it, but no, I thought it was one of the better halftime shows that I had seen lately, and not the huge cloud of smoke that I fully expected to be over the field when they finished up. So
it was well ventilated.
Yeah, apparently it was. They had those fans working overtime. First play of the second half, down 13-10. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow goes deep to wide receiver T. Higgins, who did get away with a face mask, offensive pass interference, whatever. The Bengals take the lead 17-13. Here's a question for you both. Is anyone in favor of there being that official eye in the sky rings down to them and says, "Hey, drop the flag on Cincinnati and bring this back"? I kind of am for the eye in the sky, but I don't think I would be for them ruling on a play like that. Maybe that's just me. Mike, what would you think of having the eye in the sky that could have come in and overruled that play and taken that touchdown off the board?
Oh, boy, I don't know. I mean, you got to think back at the New Orleans game a few years ago too. I mean, that was a worse. I mean, that was
by far
historically bad missed call. I wouldn't be against it. I mean, if it is egregious, I would not be against it, to be honest with you.
Rob, did you think that the face mask? I mean, you could tell Jalen Ramsey gets his face turned. He couldn't see the ball. Would you be in favor of them coming in and ruling and changing that? Or would you be like, no, not unless there's actually, I guess, something that egregious. I don't want them ruling on every play like that.
Yeah, I go back and forth on it because, like I said,
do too.
I'm just worried that it's opens up a can of worms because you don't want to, slow down the game and, how much they're going to do it.
Right.
So maybe if it's the, last 2 minutes kind of thing, okay. But like I said, I'd just be worried to fully integrate it in.
For sure.
Yeah, I just don't know how often that would come into play, though. Once or twice a game, I don't think it would slow down that much.
Well, you might be right, but right now I'm looking at NFL instant replay. It's not as bad as NBA instant replay, by the way. But there are times that I'm like, oh my goodness, can we just get on with the game? Who cares? I worry that, like Rob said, I worry that it wouldn't be hey, that call particularly is a face mask. It affects the play. It creates a touchdown. Okay. It would be the 18 other calls that they would go, ruling on. That would be my concern.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it would have to be a pretty obvious game turning, event for it to make sense.
So first play of the second half, Bengals get a touchdown, take the lead. Second play of the second half, Rams quarterback Matt Stafford throws a quick pass over the middle. The ball is tipped up in the air. It is intercepted. The Bengals turn that into a field goal. The Bengals are suddenly up 20-13. Then Matt Stafford gets his ankle rolled. Everything was going bad for Los Angeles. Rob, is there any truth to the rumor that Stafford heard Eminem performing Lose Yourself, thought he was back in Detroit, and was thinking he was playing with the Lions again? Because he didn't look great for most of the second half.
It's possible. It's possible.
I don't know. And I know losing Beckham definitely changed what they could do, and their lack of a running game changed what they could do. But Matt Stafford didn't do so much in that second half of that game. They couldn't move.
He had a good game. He did not have a great game.
No.
That was not his best game, which it would have been bad for them to give him the MVP, I think. But he did enough to get it done, but he did not have a great game.
On that interception, inactive Bengals quarterback Vernon Hargreaves runs onto the field to celebrate in the end zone in socks and flip-flops. Mike, is Vernon Hargreaves the dumbest man in the world?
He is today. I mean, I don't, if you're not making that guy walk home,
Right.
I
Right.
don't know. I mean, come on. I understand being emotional, but you literally, it's not like it happened right on the sideline. He had to run 40 yards to get there.
Correct.
That was awful.
Oh, what an idiot. Hey, we knew the Rams pass rush would be a problem. And it seemed like in the first half, Cincinnati was really focused on get the ball out quickly, get rid of it quickly. We don't want Burrow getting hits. And then in the second half, we saw that pass rush becoming a problem. They started getting to Joe Burrow. They're giving the Rams good field position, even though they weren't really doing anything with it. They were giving them good field position. The Rams kick a field goal to make it 20-16. Burrow then gets sacked. He has a knee injury. Both quarterbacks return, but you could tell both of them were getting a little bit gun shy in that pocket. They didn't want to stand back there. It was getting a little bit scary if you were a quarterback in this Super Bowl. Rob, what did you think about the injuries? Did you think we were in any danger of either one of these guys actually staying out?
No, I didn't think so. It looked bad, when it first happened, but as you saw him limp off the field, you could tell, they were coming back out there.
Yeah, and you could see them both getting jumpy though back there. With 2 minutes remaining, the Rams finally put together a drive facing a 3rd and goal, Bengals 8-yard line. We got a few penalties back and forth, but we kind of talked about it a little bit. Right calls. Did you like the calls down at the goal line? Did you like we had a defensive holding? We had a pass interference. We had a head-to-head collision down there that was horrible on Cooper Kupp. But Mike, did you think the refs got it right on those calls down by the end zone?
To the letter of the rule, yeah, they did. I mean, it's the timing is tough.
Yeah.
But you're literally holding on to the best receiver in football to prevent him from scoring the winning touchdown. So yeah, I think they got it right.
Yeah, I think they probably did. Rob, did you have any problem with the calls down there as they got close to the end zone?
No, like I said, I agree. I was okay with it. It could have gone either way. The fact that they called it, but I'm not going to complain about it.
I'm not either. Stafford ends up hitting Cooper Kupp for the short touchdown. But there was 1 minute and 25 seconds left to play. Rams are up now 23-20. Hey, the Bengals have 2 timeouts left. They can go down and tie this thing up. We might be headed for overtime. Bengals drive to midfield. It's 3rd and 1. They run the ball up the middle. They don't get anything. On 4th and probably less than 1, Mike, what would you have run? The Bengals elected to pass. Are you passing? Are you running? What are you running there on 4th and 1?
That's tough. I mean, I think I don't mind the pass play. I just think it needed to be something quicker.
Yeah.
A quick hitter, just something that's not going to take any time that would allow the Rams to put the pressure on him.
Sure. Rob, what did you think of the play call down there? And maybe another question would be, did the injury to Burrow affect their play calling in that a lot of times we see them go 5 wide and let him run it? They didn't do that there. They elect to go back and actually pass it against that defense. Aaron Donald goes down, grabs him, pulls him down. He kind of flings it, but I think they actually credit him with a sack. 4th and 1, Rob, what are you calling there for the Bengals?
I would agree with Mike. I like the pass option. Like you said, you're kind of worried about Burrow's health. But yeah, I think, this is a passing team. Chase and Higgins, like I said, I think you spread them out and try your luck on a quick slant.
See, that's what I thought. And it didn't seem like, if that was what was called, it didn't seem like it developed very quickly. And he drops back. He has nowhere to go. It's kind of a 5-step drop, and you can see the pressure is coming. That pressure changed the game. You've got Aaron Donald. We saw Von Miller step up and have a couple of really big series where he totally wreaked havoc on that Cincinnati offensive line. We saw after the game that the MVP was given to wide receiver Cooper Kupp. Kupp goes 8 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also did have that one rush. I believe it was for 7 yards on 4th and 1 that moved the chains. Big time performance by Cooper Kupp. Anybody else would you have considered maybe, Mike, for the MVP, or was Kupp the guy? Was there anyone else out there that you thought might have deserved that award?
Well, I think Kupp definitely deserved it. I'm sure, and I don't know how it goes. Is it a voting system? Is it one person that decides? Is it a show of hands? I don't know. But Aaron Donald had to get some consideration as well.
Sure. Well, and he comes up with the plays, I think, that are going to kind of be lasting in our memory. That late, kind of sack, 4th and 1, here's the game. And Aaron Donald comes up with that sack. He'd come up with one, just a few plays earlier when the game was on the line. That 3rd and 1 is stopped almost single-handedly by Aaron Donald. So I would understand him getting votes. I thought because of the loss of Beckham, Kupp had to take so much more responsibility. That touchdown drive, they were going to Kupp every single play. Every play they went to Kupp. And there wasn't anything they could do to stop it. Rob, who would you have voted for as far as most valuable player?
Yeah, I think it was definitely Kupp. Kind of like you said, I'm not sure if they were even drawing plays there at the end or if it was just Cooper, Kupp get open. I feel like that was just that was all that they were doing all the way down, and couldn't stop it. I mean, haven't been able to stop him all season, really.
Oh my goodness, he's so good, and he's so smart at reading how they're playing him and still being able to find that gap. I know you're shadowing me here, but I know there's a gap that I can get into and I can get myself open. He's just such an intelligent guy and ultra athletic. I know he's not that athletic. No, he's really athletic. I know he's white, but he's still really athletic. That dude can flat out move. No, I thought Cooper Kupp deserved that award. I didn't think the writers would get it right. I thought they would probably botch it and give it to someone else. I was hoping they wouldn't give it to Stafford. I didn't think he deserved it. But here's another question for you. Rob, if you had to vote for a least valuable player, couple of options for you. You've got the Rams running backs. You've got Jalen Ramsey, who, by the way, did not have a great day. You've got Odell Beckham Jr., I guess, or you have the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. They allowed 11 quarterback hits. That's a lot of times for a guy to get hit. And by the way, sacks are so overrated because you could see in this game, Burrow got sacked 4 or 5 times, I think. He got hit a lot.
Yeah.
He got hit a lot. If you can hit him, you can affect him. Rob, who gets your vote for least valuable player?
I'm going to say Ramsey.
Yeah.
Just because all of the hype around him, he's supposed to be the shutdown guy. Like I said, Chase beat him, real bad.
Yep.
And then even with the T. Higgins one, granted, grabbed his face mask, but I mean, looks like he's out of position there, even if his face mask doesn't get grabbed. So it's going to be Ramsey for me.
Mike, who you got? Least valuable player in this thing?
Yeah, it's funny. I remember you and I were talking around the draft when they took wide receiver.
Yeah,
and we're like, wait a minute.
Right.
Burrow literally almost lost a leg last year. They got one of the worst offensive lines in football, and here they are taking a flashy wide receiver, Jamar Chase, and not an offensive lineman, which they needed. I mean, they're in position to take the top offensive lineman there. Now, here's the funny thing is, do they make it to the Super Bowl without Jamar Chase?
I don't think they do.
I don't either. So did they make the right choice? I don't know, but they've got work to do on that offensive line. And that, to me, was the difference in the game.
Yeah. The Rams defensive front dominated the second half of that game. And I think we all thought that would happen. I don't know that it didn't happen the entire game, though. It kind of was in pieces. Yeah. And in the second half, they kind of got going. They shut down the run game completely. They got after Burrow. They made the plays when they had to. That's a tough one for me. And I think this could have been much worse for Jalen Ramsey, because remember, I believe it was the first play of that final drive. He cheats up on a ball, gets beat, and the ball is suddenly at midfield, and you're like, oh, they're going to kick a field goal and tie this thing. Like, this is going to happen. Ramsey was this close to being a goat in a bad way. Like, that could have gone really, really bad, but the Los Angeles Rams get the win. They win Super Bowl 56. Congrats to the Rams. and the people now in California who will claim that they are Rams fans. Okay, kids, we are going to dig into maybe the offseason a little bit here in just a minute. But I've got two guys on the panel that are highly intelligent NFL people. They're highly intelligent sports people. I don't just bring on any moron that can do this show. I am enough of a moron to be on the show. So I got to bring in smart people to help me out. So right now, we're going to test this panel. We're going to play a little bit of trivia. Feel free to play at home and see how you score against my esteemed panel here. I'm telling you right now, they're going to be tough to beat because I know these guys. They know their stuff. But I like to test these guys and just kind of prove to the listeners out there, I don't just bring in, some dope off the street. We bring something good, and these two guys bring it. Now, if Larry was here, would he, kind of make a curve for? Yeah, he would, but he's not. So we're not going to worry about that. Right now, we are going to play a game of did they win a Super Bowl? I've got 12 players I'm going to give you. And you are going to say, yes, they won a Super Bowl, or no, they never did win a Super Bowl. And we are going to see how this goes down. Like I said, if you are at home alone, you can be playing this game right along with us. Okay, are you ready for our first person here up? You probably remember this player from the Cleveland Browns and from being so close so many times. He was right there. Rob, did quarterback Bernie Kozar ever win a Super Bowl?
Bernie Kozar. I'm going to say no.
All right. Mike, Bernie Kozar. Did Bernie Kozar ever win a Super Bowl?
Oh, I'm trying to remember where he went, if anywhere after Cleveland. If he maybe played backup for somebody who went to a Super Bowl. I'm going to take the easy answer and say no.
We are going to both go no. And we're going to start off with a bang because both of these guys got it wrong. Bernie Kozar, in fact, joined the 93 Dallas Cowboys. Bernie Kozar has himself a ring. Who knew? You can see right up front. This game is not going to be easy. This game is going to be very, very difficult. But we'll see how this goes. Next up, we have a player who played, with a Super Bowl franchise. We know this franchise has won Super Bowls. He also did some other stuff. We're not going to talk about that right now. Mike, did Aaron Hernandez win a Super Bowl?
Ooh, boy, it is hard to say anybody that was on the Patriots for any stretch of time that did not.
Right.
But they did go a stretch without winning one. I'm going to go against the grain and say no.
Mike goes no on Aaron Hernandez. Rob, Aaron Hernandez, we know he killed people. Did he ever win a Super Bowl?
I'm gonna say no. I think it was also an off year.
You are both correct. Aaron Hernandez did not win a Super Bowl. He did attend a Super Bowl, but you might remember the Giants beat them on the David Tyree catch. That was the year that Aaron Hernandez was there. Went there, did not get it done. Got another one for you. When you think back to some of the greats in NFL history, you think back to, different players that you kind of remember, oh, they were so close, they didn't get it. Here's a guy that was one of the best ever, an offensive lineman, but did he win a Super Bowl? Rob, did Bruce Matthews ever win a Super Bowl? We know he was a great player in his day, but did Bruce Matthews ever get a Super Bowl ring?
I'm going to say no.
No on Bruce Matthews. Mike, you are now up. Did Bruce Matthews ever win a Super Bowl?
I'm going to say no. If I remember right, he played like 16, 17 years for the Oilers / Titans franchise.
Yes. You are both correct. Bruce Matthews never did win a Super Bowl. He was with those Oilers / Titans. And of course, they have not gotten that done. So he did not get a Super Bowl. Next up, Mike, you are on the clock. Here's a guy that we remember here very, very well in Denver, but he has also played in a few other places. Mike, did Craig Morton ever win a Super Bowl?
Wow. I'm going to say yes.
Craig Morton goes with yes. Rob, what do you got? Craig Morton. Did Craig Morton ever win a Super Bowl? We remember him losing one here in Denver, but did he ever win one?
I'm going to say no.
Mike goes yes. Rob goes no. Craig Morton did win a Super Bowl with the 71 Cowboys before he came to Denver. Now, that is before my time. I don't think he was the starter at the time, but maybe I'm incorrect on that. But he did actually win one. Mike takes a very, very small lead. Next up, we have a guy that bounced around for a few different teams. We're all going to remember him for getting an injection in his, I believe, rib and getting a punctured lung out of the deal. Rob, did Tyrod Taylor ever win himself a Super Bowl?
I'm going to say yes.
Rob goes yes. Mike, what do you got? Tyrod Taylor, has he ever won the bowl?
Trying to think of who all he played with. He did.
This is a tough game, I might add.
It is.
Yeah. You do a good job. These are definitely not.
I'm not giving you any gimmies here.
I'm gonna say I think he was on the Baltimore Ravens squad when they won.
Excellent call. You both get that correct. He was with the Ravens. He was the backup to Joe Flacco. He did win a Super Bowl. Next up, and this will be our halfway point, I've got a guy who is considered by many to be one of the greatest ever. Wide receiver, insanely talented. We know he came into the league with a bang. He was so good as a rookie. But did he win a Super Bowl? Mike, did Randy Moss ever win himself a Super Bowl?
No, he went undefeated and lost to the Giants. And that was as close as he got, if I remember right.
Rob, do you concur? Randy Moss, Super Bowl champion?
I agree. No.
You are both correct. Randy Moss, like Mike said, got close, no cigar. He was on that team that went all the way to the bowl and then lost to the Giants. Got another guy, quarterback, that here in Denver tortured us, particularly in one game. But when he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, we know he never quite got it done. Rob, did Mark Brunell ever win a Super Bowl?
Yes.
Rob goes yes.
Mike, what do you got? Mark Brunell, did he win a bowl?
Oh, that playoff game was painful.
Yes, it was. He tore us up.
I'm going to say no.
Mike goes no, and kids, we've got ourselves a tie ball game. Mark Brunell wins a Super Bowl as the backup to Drew Brees with the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, who saw that one coming? But Mark Brunell gets himself a Super Bowl ring. I've got 5 left. All right. We all remember this guy getting killed with the Houston Texans. He was their top pick, ended up out of football very, very shortly. Mike, did David Carr ever win himself a Super Bowl?
Boy, I'm trying to remember if he even played anywhere other than Houston. If he did, it was clearly as a backup. Yeah, boy, what a talent. And they
really talented. They broke him.
Did absolutely nothing to help him out. Where did he go afterwards? Yes. I'll say yes. And I have no idea why.
Mike goes yes. Rob, what do you got? David Carr, did he ever win a bowl?
Yeah, he was probably a backup somewhere. Let's go yes.
The game stays tied at even. David Carr went to the Giants and won a Super Bowl as a backup to, I believe it was Eli Manning. So yeah, David Carr gets a Super Bowl ring with the Giants. Here's one, and if there's a gimme, this is probably going to be it. But we remember one of the greatest pass rush specialists ever, Bruce Smith with the Buffalo Bills. But Rob, did Bruce Smith ever go anywhere else and win himself a Super Bowl?
I don't think so. I'm gonna say no.
Rob goes no. Mike, what do you got? Bruce Smith?
He played a long time in Buffalo. I think he finished up with Washington, but did they win one when he was there? That would have been no, I don't think they won one while he was there.
All right, we are still tied up. He did not win one. We got 3 to go. Can we break this tie? guy that played college football, I believe, with Notre Dame, was kind of a journeyman quarterback. You'll recognize the name, but might not know all that much about him. Mike, did quarterback Mark Wilson ever win himself a Super Bowl?
Oh boy.
Right.
I don't know why, but I'll say yes. He was a backup on some Super Bowl winning squad.
All right. Rob, what do you got? Mark Wilson. Mark Wilson ever win a bowl?
Same logic. Yes.
Get this. Mark Wilson won 2 Super Bowls with the Raiders.
Nice.
One in 80 and one in 83. All right. We got 2 left. It is a tie game. We are coming down the stretch. Who is going to get the win, or are we just going to go NFL regular season and declare it a tie at the end of the day? First up, we have longtime Giants running back Tiki Barber. Rob, did Tiki Barber win himself a Super Bowl?
Let's say no.
Rob goes no on Tiki. Mike, what do you got? Tiki Barber, Super Bowl or no?
I'm really trying to put that. I'll say yes.
Mike goes yes.
I think he was on one of those squads that beat the Patriots.
He actually retired right before they beat the Patriots. Rob surges into the lead with 1 remaining. And Mike, you are going to get first call. We've got a quarterback that we all remember. He was kind of the only thing they had in town down in Jacksonville. So we know he didn't win one there. But Mike, did Byron Leftwitch ever win himself a Super Bowl?
Well, I know Rob's a smart guy, so it does not matter what my answer is. All he has to do is duplicate it. But which is what I would do, by the way.
Sure. Got to play the game.
Yeah, it's why you play the game, right? You don't play to tie.
No, you play to win the game.
Sure. Yes, he did.
Byron Leftwich with a Super Bowl. Rob, what do you got?
I'm going to say yes.
Byron Leftwich was a backup for the 2009 Pittsburgh Steelers that did win a Super Bowl. Rob ekes out a close victory. And much like the NFL season, we get another close finish because that's just how this season has gone. Well done, Rob. That may entitle you to some sort of a prize later when we figure out what that prize might be. That prize actually might be coming. We might have to talk about that a little bit later. But, going into the NFL offseason, we have a number of stories to kind of keep an eye on. Got a number of moves that could happen. But one of the things I want to talk about real briefly, we saw a number of head coaches just get hired. The Minnesota Vikings hire ex-Los Angeles Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Donnell to be their head coach. The Chicago Bears bring in Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus to take over their head coaching job. The New York Giants hired Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll to hopefully fix Daniel Jones, maybe. The Denver Broncos bring in Green Bay Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. The Jacksonville Jaguars hired former Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl winning head coach Doug Peterson. The Los Angeles Raiders hired New England Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. And the Miami Dolphins hired San Francisco 49ers nerd Mike McDaniel. Any of those hires stand out to either one of you as, man, they might have really hit big, or I don't know if that guy should have got a job. Mike, I'll serve this up to you first. Anybody kind of stand out to you on that new coaching hire list?
I don't know. I mean, Jacksonville couldn't have got any worse, right? They
Sure.
hired a Super Bowl winning coach.
Yeah.
I think that will do hopefully wonders for Trevor Lawrence. That one's going to be intriguing.
Yeah.
Did you mention Lovie Smith?
No, you're right. In fact, I didn't, because Lovie Smith gets the job in
Houston.
Right. That Houston Texans are a dumpster fire, but no, you're right. Houston Texans hire Lovie Smith. Yeah.
Never mind on that one. Anyway,
Sure.
It's going to be interesting to see McDaniels round 2.
I would agree. I think that's a really, really big one. Rob, what are you seeing in the coaching hiring department here?
I like the Peterson hire for the Jags. I think that's a good coach, just generally a good coach.
Yeah.
The program is questionable, but We'll see. And you guys, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think the Broncos coach, out of everything left over, coming from Green Bay, lots of energy, offensive minded. I think that's kind of what they needed. So I think that was the closest one to kind of fit what the team needed.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a decent hire. The Josh McDaniels to the Raiders one is really interesting because either he has learned a lot from what he did in his time in Denver and he'll be much, much better, or he's just an idiot and that's just who he is. So it's going to be interesting to see that. Mike McDaniel, one actually attended a high school that I coached at. And if you've ever seen Russ McKinstry on the show, Mike McDaniel was at his office every day. He was just a gung-ho sports freak. But I look at Mike McDaniel and you say, oh, he's a geek. He's a dork. He doesn't. If you listen to the guys that play for him, they love him. I mean, they love him. They're like, he is so far ahead of everyone else offensively. He blows everyone's mind. I can't imagine the Miami Dolphins actually hired a good coach. Like, that sounds odd to me. Everything about that seems weird, but there's a lot of people really big on Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we were all shocked that they fired Flores. So
really shocked.
I mean, did they do that with this guy in mind? I don't know, because I don't think so, because they didn't move on it right away. Or could they? I don't. That was a weird one. I mean, and now there's stories that, the ownership or the GM was trying to pay him money to lose and he wasn't playing ball. And that whole thing was just bizarre to me. So it's going to be interesting. There are, there's three previous coaches. You got Lovie Smith, you got Joshy, and then Peterson, but all others are first-time coaches, right?
Yeah.
First-time coaches. Yeah. So going to be interesting to see. And moving over to Denver, that is a complete change in the philosophy of the last two coaches. The last
Correct.
two coaches were defensive minded, more conservative. Fangio had the personality of a remote control. It was just awful. He was bland. He was blah. So, and the team kind of reflected that. Half the time they'd go out and you wouldn't even realize that they knew the game was started. I mean, just no motivation. So, I did like that hire too.
One of the things that we talked about this a little bit last week on the Super Bowl preview with Russ McKinstry, but can the NFL please stop all hiring processes prior to the Super Bowl? You're not allowed to hire anyone. You're not allowed to do this, because that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. There are guys that coached in the Super Bowl that deserve a chance to go, apply for this job and go through the interview, but the teams don't want to wait for them to be done. So they go grab. So can we just say you're not allowed to hire anyone until the day after the Super Bowl? I think we'd end a lot of these sometimes really dumb hires. Sometimes you can tell they're forced hires. They're really quick and you can tell there's not a lot of thought in them. Rob, am I crazy, or that they need to step in and legislate this nonsense?
No, I definitely agree. Like I said, it's just an easy fix. Just after the season's completely over for everybody, then you can, start your hiring process.
I don't understand why that is so difficult.
There's two dates I think they need to move back. The what we're talking about right now, the hiring of a new coach and the trade deadline. Well, it used to be later in the year.
Yeah. It's very early now, and there's no reason that you couldn't bump it back. The NFL needs to rethink some of the things that they have done. Speaking of the Brian Flores thing, and we talked about this a little bit on the dose last week, and I don't want to drill in it too much, but because it has kind of been done to death. But you guys are both highly intelligent people. We've already proven that in our trivia contest. The Brian Flores lawsuit, I'm a little bit confused by it, and I'm not saying that he doesn't have a case. I am saying this. It's really hard to prove. And two, why would you not wait until all of the jobs had been filled and then file your lawsuit? Because now all the NFL has to do is say, well, we were going to hire him for this job, but there's a lawsuit. So we said no. Was that just the dumbest? Am I missing something? Why would you put that lawsuit out that early? He put it out. There were still, I think, either 3 or 4 jobs still available, and he's already filed a suit. again, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. What I am saying is, why is this not more well thought out? Rob, any thoughts on the Brian Flores situation?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think the only reason you do that is you don't think you're going to get those other jobs. You thought, the one you were going to get when that one didn't fall through, and right or wrong, like I said, if it's me, I probably would wait just to make sure there was nothing else left.
Sure.
But the only logic I could think behind that is, I definitely either don't want those jobs, or I know I'm not in the running for those. And so at this point, I might as well file it.
Mike, does Brian Flores ever get an NFL job again?
Possibly. Maybe not this year, but maybe in another year or two. I don't know. I mean, there is very likely a lot more underneath the surface that us John Q public people don't know about.
Sure.
Maybe things that owners share with each other, GMs share with each other, things like that, dirty laundry stuff. I don't know. People were screaming, why didn't Bieniemy get a job? Why didn't Bieniemy get a job? And now he might not even be kept on as coordinator with the Chiefs. So
right.
I don't know. I mean, the timing, he said, because people asked him that. I said, well, wait a minute, why are you filing this lawsuit now? Aren't you afraid it's going to cost you a job opportunity? He said, it may not, I don't know, but I feel I need to do this. And he is, it's his own conviction enough that he needs to put this out there. And
sure.
For him, unfortunately, I think it will be impossible to prove.
That's the hard part. Is it's so difficult because it's just he said. I don't know how you ever get that resolved without just saying, oh, okay, well, we kind of have to agree to disagree, because I can't prove that you did this. I can't prove John Elway was drunk. We all know John Elway was drunk, but I can't prove it. And unless you can prove it, the burden of proof is on you as the person, putting the suit in there. So yeah, I just think I don't know. It's just
you're trying to prove somebody's internal thoughts.
Right. No. And it's really, really difficult to do that. And I think that was just kind of a losing cause, because of the fact that I don't know how you can say, here's what I thought was going to happen, and without proof, I don't know. It just seemed like. Side note: does anyone want to hire Eric Bieniemy? Either one of you want to hire Eric Bieniemy? How does that go? Because Bieniemy is a guy whose name keeps coming up, but it is a little bit odd to me that the Chiefs might not even want him back. Rob, if I give you the offensive coordinator job under Andy Reid and you have Patrick Mahomes, I feel like you're going to be more successful than Eric Bieniemy.
I would think so.
That's a pretty cushy job, right?
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah, that's a weird one. Like I said, I don't know him, just from a coordinator standpoint. Like I said, you would think, he would be, his name would be at the top of the list, but like I said, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's some kind of a personal thing, or like you said, maybe that, Mahomes is really running that offense.
Mike, we know Eric Bieniemy from his time up in Boulder, and I always wonder if his off the field problems have kind of, even though they happened years ago, some of them were as an adult. They weren't just all college kid stuff. I mean, the security guard or whatever that he beat up the female, that was when he was like 23 years old. Is it his off the field stuff that's keeping him from getting those jobs?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Again, we're not privy to the interviews and things like that. Maybe he's just a horrible interview. I don't know. I mean, some people, you hear of a lot of players that practice terribly, but then they get out onto the field and all of a sudden it clicks, or vice versa, or something like that. It's an interesting one. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if the Chiefs move on from him, if somebody picks him up. I mean,
right.
Because of that, my personal opinion, silly rule, that if you hire a minority coach into an escalated position, that team gets a third, fourth round pick or something.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, I'm sure, were begging another team.
Yes. Please take him.
Yeah, please take him, because we're not going to keep him. Somebody please hire him. We're going to get some compensation out of this. And now they're not. I don't know. It's a strange thing.
Fellas, going into this offseason, we are facing what could be a wild a completely insane offseason. A number of teams are going to be getting hit hard by free agency. Tampa, Kansas City, the Los Angeles Rams will have some big free agents. Green Bay, a number of big name free agents are going to be out there. But maybe more important is what we could see in this offseason at the quarterback position specifically. We know Aaron Rodgers has been unhappy in Green Bay. Who knows what happens with him? Russell Wilson has been unhappy in Seattle. Kyler Murray seems to be unhappy in Arizona. But there's more, because remember, the Pittsburgh Steelers need a quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger retired. So does Tampa with Tom Brady retiring. Are the Indianapolis Colts done with Carson Wentz? Are the Tennessee Titans done with Ryan Tannehill? What do the 49ers do with Jimmy Garoppolo? Fellas, we could see a wild offseason just at the quarterback position alone. Say that again, Mike.
Falcons?
The Atlanta Falcons. What do you do? Is Matt Ryan back? What do they, they want to move on from him? Mike, I'll stick with you. Any of these quarterbacks do you think are actually going to hit the road, or is it going to be a lot to do about nothing?
I don't know. If nothing else, the NFL is a master at hyping its own product. Okay. You get so many writers and bloggers or whatever that essentially work for the NFL that are putting a lot of this stuff out there to generate interest, and it works. The NFL is a 365-day machine. It's unbelievable. Super Bowl's over. If the day after the Stanley Cup's over, you don't care about hockey until the tip off of the first game of the regular season. Here we are. We're looking forward to the combine. We're looking forward to the draft. We're looking forward to free agency. We're looking forward to the release of the schedule, which is a primetime show. I mean, it's unbelievable how they hype themselves.
Yes.
Now, that being said, boy, I tell you, there could be 4, 5, 6 very big name quarterbacks on the move this year.
Yeah, you're right. You're
It's
right.
So interesting.
Rob, what do you see going on with quarterbacks? Are we going to actually get the movement, or are we going to get a lot of talk about the movement?
I think we get some moves. It just feels like, over the past couple seasons, Brady makes the jump right there to Super Bowl. Stafford just made the jump. So maybe some of these guys that have been there a long time, like the Rodgers and the Wilsons, spent your whole career there. You might only have 2-3 seasons left. Maybe they take a jump.
Where is the destination that you guys would see as that's the team I want to go to, because I can jump in and get a Super Bowl right away with them? Is that situation out there? Like we just saw Stafford going to the Rams. Hey, that team was built. They were ready. They just needed a quarterback. The year before with Tampa. Tampa was stacked. They were loaded. Rob, do you see a team out there that you say, hey, just stir in a quarterback and you might have yourself a recipe for a Super Bowl?
Yeah, the guys we just talked about, the Rodgers and the Wilsons. I would say the 49ers. I mean, I think they're right there. You got enough talent. It's a pretty good defense. Garoppolo was okay. But like I said, I mean, if you put, Rodgers on that team, I mean, that might be enough to put him over the top.
Yeah. Mike, you see a team out there that is just ready for a quarterback. If they could get one, they just might go do it all.
There's a couple. I think Tennessee.
Yeah, I do too.
Possibly even Indy.
Yeah. They're right there too.
Yeah. San Francisco, I don't know. I mean, how much? I mean, they jumped up and spent a lot of capital to get Trey Lance. So I don't know if they're going to break the bank to bride Trey Lance on the bench for another 2 or 3 years. But that is a very talented team minus a quarterback. So, I don't know. There's a couple destinations. I think, you listen to all the real Homer fans here. Everybody says you plug in a quarterback here and it's going to be, Peyton Manning all over again. But they seem to forget that when Peyton Manning first came here, we got our ass kicked by Seattle in the Super Bowl. We had to retool and build a team around him. So
correct.
It doesn't make the team better. 100%. Are we going to be in the playoffs? Most likely, yes. Are we going to be possibly looking towards a championship game? Yes. Straight up Super Bowl, I don't know if it's quite there yet. So,
it's going to be an interesting draft as usual. And the draft, I've decided, is as popular as it is because it's the day that everyone has hope. If you traded away all your picks it's because your team is so much smarter than everyone else. You're going to do everything right and you're going to fix it. If you took all those picks, it's because your team knows exactly what to do. Rarely do these things, by the way, actually, unfold the way that we think they will. But looking at this draft class, it's not a great draft class for quarterbacks.
No,
there's not very good quarterbacks in here. Pittsburgh's Kenny Pickett, of course, is out there. Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral, Liberty quarterback Malik Willis, maybe. These are second or third rounders in most every other year. They're probably first rounders this year. Mike, how many quarterbacks do we see drafted in the first round of this year's draft? And I know we haven't really drilled down on the draft all that much yet, but just based on what you kind of know.
If it's one, it's more than it should be, and it's probably going to be 3.
Yeah. No, you're right, Rob. Any disparity there? Would you agree?
No, yeah, I would agree. It's going to be 2 or 3, but it shouldn't be. But that's just the way.
They can't help themselves, can
they?
They can't help themselves. They're like, no, I got to have this guy. This is the guy that's going to turn around our season. And one team I could specifically see doing it is right here in Denver. I could totally see them reaching on a quarterback and grabbing someone way too early. I don't have a problem with them drafting a quarterback, but not with the, number 9 pick or whatever it is that they have. That's way too early this year, but it won't surprise me one single bit if they do it. Okay. I'm going to let you guys get out of here. You did a great job of breaking down the Super Bowl. Really fun playing some trivia and looking forward to next season. But before we go, I want to get kind of your final thoughts going into the offseason, going into next year. And hey, the Super Bowl literally ended minutes ago. We just finished the game. But when you look forward to next year, is there a team that is standing out to you and you're going, man, they did not get it done this year for whatever reason? Or maybe you're looking at the Rams and say the Rams are going to be back. I look at it and say, there's a couple teams out there that I think could be a lot better next year. And the team that stands out to me is probably the Baltimore Ravens, who had a lot of unlucky breaks, had a lot of injuries, had a lot of problems. I think the Baltimore Ravens have a chance to be back next year and be much, much better. Rob, I'll serve this one up to you first. Is there a team that you're kind of keeping an eye on that you're saying, hey, that team might be very, very good going into next year?
Yeah, I definitely like your Ravens pick. Team that Mike mentioned earlier, the Titans.
Yeah.
I think, that Derrick Henry injury kind of in the middle, he comes back late, kind of just throws off the momentum of the season.
For sure.
But yeah, that's a team I think, if he's healthy the whole season, if they can upgrade the quarterback, I see him right back in the mix.
Mike, what do you got? Any teams that you're looking forward to seeing next season? And maybe they've got something that you saw this year that you go, man, they're going to be very, very good next year.
Well, this one thing that made this year special is if you looked at the odds at the beginning of the preseason this year, Cincinnati had the 5th worst odds of making a Super Bowl. And wow. And they weren't a fluke. They deserve to be there, but one team for me, and I'm kind of repeating myself, from last year, they fell just barely short. And I think they would have done just as good in the Super Bowl is the Bills. I think there's just a couple of small things that they can correct.
Yep.
They were, a bad decision on a last minute kickoff, not squibbing it, or a bad coin toss call away from
you're right.
Hosting the AFC Championship game. Who knows? It probably would have been a good game with them in Cincinnati too. But I think they come back. They're a good young team. I think they come back stronger next year.
Yeah, that's a good call. And both of you have really, really good thoughts on that. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen might be that guy. He just might be that guy. He's just really, really insanely talented.
How stacked is the AFC for quarterbacks?
Oh,
young quarterbacks.
Yeah. It makes me sad as a Broncos fan because we're not even involved.
No.
Like you've got Mahomes, you've got Allen, you've got Burrow, you've got Herbert, you've got so many good Lamar, you've got so many good young quarterbacks that are going to be tough for a long time. It looks like Mac Jones in New England might end up being the guy up there. The kid up with the Jets may end up eventually being good. I know it's the Jets,
Lawrence turns it around.
Right.
Potential. Yeah.
No, there are so many good young quarterbacks. And then, like we kind of talked about earlier, you've got the Titans, you've got the Colts, that are a quarterback away from maybe them suddenly being right there at the forefront. So a lot of the NFL is just king and so many good things. And every time there's an era where we say, okay, that era's over, it'll never be like that again. In comes another round of great players. And we just kind of finished out this quarterback era. Now we've got a bunch of good young quarterbacks coming again. One last question for you each, just kind of a yes or no. Tom Brady, Rob, is he retired? Is he really done? Is he going to be back anyways?
No, I think he's done.
I think he's done.
This is it. Yeah.
Okay.
It.
Mike, what do you got? Tom Brady done?
Jeez, I hope he's done. I say 70-30 he's done.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% because who knows with that clown, but I think he's done. Yeah.
I'm going to say that I think he's done because I think Giselle told him he's done. So that's how I'm going to vote. And you don't upset that apple cart because that's a whole different animal. You don't want to do that. If she's unhappy, everybody's unhappy. So I think he's done because she told him he's done, but we'll see. I mean, never say never. I could see him just coming back to spite Shefty. So he is that guy. He is petty and petty. Sometimes
I think if he was the winning quarterback today, it's 110%. He's pulling out on top. I think that's the only thing that leaves that door open a little bit.
I would agree with that because do not forget, both Peyton and John Elway did one up him in the retirement department. And that could be something maybe that pulls him back. You never know. Fellas, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by the Dose. Always fun to have you. Great to kind of recap this bowl. I know I'll be talking to each of you as we, again, get into basketball, get into NBA, get into college hoops and whatnot, but might have to do this again, maybe just right after the NFL draft and kind of do a roundtable. Maybe Larry will be all healed up and emotionally available to us, and he can join the show too. But maybe do kind of draft grades on that NFL draft or do something like that. I guess we could do an NFL mock draft. I just struggle with all the possibilities because one trade and the mock draft goes out the window. So I get it, but that's always kind of tough to do. But maybe we do a draft recap coming up here in the spring or something along those lines.
I kind of like the idea of doing a draft like that. And if we do it at kind of an annual thing, it'd be interesting to go back to the year before and compare how we graded one year and how it really turned out.
Well, I can make you guys work harder. We could do a draft and then we come back the next week and we do back-to-back shows. We can do that. We have the capability. So you guys just might have to come up in 2 weeks in a row and we do a mock draft and then we come back and confess our sins and all we got wrong in our mock draft. So, I mean, that's something we can talk about as well, but always enjoy having you both in, do a great job and give us some insight and some things to think about. Thank you so much for joining. Rob, you got any closing thoughts for us today?
No, just thanks again for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I can't believe this is the end of the season.
I know. That's a sad state of affairs right there. Mike, what do you got? Any closing thoughts on the NFL season?
Yeah, same. It was a great season. You kind of talked about it earlier. There were some unbelievable upsets. The playoffs past the first week were possibly some of the best ever. As far as the quality and the sheer entertainment of the games. Not having a horse in any of the game in the race in any of the games, I was on the edge of my seat for most of them. It was phenomenal. So and there's some nasty rumor going around that somebody on this panel turned 50 last week.
Rob, I'm gonna say right up front, Rob, you don't look 50 to me. I'll just lob that up. On that note, we will be closing out the Daily Dose. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Genuinely appreciate it.
Welcome to the Half Century Club, Clint.
Yeah, happy birthday.